In this video, we're going to look at writing a polynomial function from real zeros, and I would encourage you to pause the video and try this on your own basically as soon as you can. So as soon as you're like, oh, I think I can do that, then hit pause and try it on your own. If you get stuck, hit play, continue to watch until you can get your question answered. And then once you like, okay, I think I can do that part, push pause again and try the problem on your own, because you learn math by doing math. So you have to do the math. Watching me do this is great, but you really have to do it on your own to learn it well. Okay, so let's look at what this problem is telling us and asking us to do. It says write a polynomial function f. So that's just because that's a popular letter for functions of least degree. So that's the smallest exponent. That we can, that has rational coefficients and a leading coefficient of 1. Okay, so rational coefficients, that just means no square roots or whatever in front of the variables. Leading coefficient of 1, that makes the problem a little simpler for us because the number in front of the biggest exponent, or the term with the biggest exponent, is 1. And then here is the real important information. We have 3, 0, and -2 as zeros. So the first thing I would do is just list those out. Okay, so zeros. X equals 3, X equals 0, and X is equal to -2. So those are all of our zeros. One thing to notice is that this is going to have a degree of 3 because there are 3 zeros and they are all real. Okay, and then a very important relationship you need to know when working with polynomials is the relationship between zeros and factors. If you know a zero, you know a factor. If you know a factor, you know a zero. You should be able to go back and forth. So if x equals 3 is a 0, then I can just move this to the other side and say, well, x minus 3 is a factor. And we'll put that equals 0 there just to kind of show you where that comes from. We subtract 3 from both sides. And then if x equals 0, that means x is equal to 0. So x is a factor. And then x is equal to -2. If I add 2 to both sides, then you get x plus 2 is equal to 0. So x plus 2 is a factor. So there are my 3 factors. So this is enough to write a function, a polynomial function. So f of x is our function notation, and you just need to list the factors. So I'm going to put the x first. Order doesn't matter. And then I'm going to do x minus 3 and x plus 2. Okay, and so technically you have written, or you have answered the question. This is a polynomial function of least degree because it has a degree of 3, and this only has a degree of 3. X times x times x is x to the third. It has rational coefficients, a leading coefficient of 1. However, it's not standard form, so typically you will want to multiply these out. But I do think that if this is like an open-ended question and it was an exam, you would have an argument like, hey, you didn't say write it in standard form. But I would not default by that. If you know what you're supposed to look for, then go ahead and multiply it out. So in standard form, we would multiply these. Let's ignore the x and FOIL first. So x times x is x squared. And then on the outside, we get plus 2x. Minus 3x for the inside, and then minus 6. And then if we combine like terms, our function is x times x squared minus x minus 6. And then last, we can say x cubed minus x squared minus 6x. And that comes from distributing the x. And remember, you add exponents when you multiply. Okay, so this checks all the boxes. This is a polynomial function of degree 3. It has 3 zeros, a degree of 3. The leading coefficient is 1, and the coefficients are all, in this case, 1 or -1, but they're definitely all rational. Okay, reach out if you have questions, and good luck.